What's the number one aspect of a person today is the way they communicate. That's how they show up. That's how we see them. That's every experience and interaction we have with them. If you're using weak phrases or phrases that reveal something about your mindset, people will latch onto that because you're showing it up much more. If your message isn't clear, concise, and credible enough that a person absorbs, digests, and then shares it with other people, you haven't done a good enough job.
Wow.
If AI is not part of every single discussion and conversation you're having, you are missing out on one of the most intelligent team members you could have ever hired.
In a world drowning in noise, most people never learn the one skill that determines everything: how to communicate with clarity, conviction, and presence. My guest today built his life around that mastery, turning communication into a craft, a discipline, and a pathway to agency in every room he enters. And for people moving beyond their origins, beyond their zip codes, communication becomes more than a skill. It becomes your passport. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, a place I carry with immense pride. But I learned early on that if you want to expand your world, you have to learn the language power listens to without losing who you are in the process. In this conversation, Neil shows us how to build that voice, a voice that's authentic, not performative, grounded, not pretentious, a voice that's clear, concise, credible. Welcome to the Alpha Renaissance with Neil Bhandari. First off, Neil, I want to thank you for coming to the show. I know it's been an arduous journey, but you made it. So thank you so much for joining us on the Alpha Renaissance.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you. You're like what I like to call a communication whisperer. You understand communication in its minutia, and you can see it on the grand scale.
Yeah.
This is what you specialize in. This is what you've dedicated your life to.
Yes.
And you've advised Fortune 500 CEOs, some of the most wealthiest people in the world, some of the most intelligent, brightest people in the world on effectively communicating. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because here on the Alpha Renaissance, this is a podcast dedicated to the pursuit of masculine excellence. And part of excelling is understanding how to maintain agency in a world full of distractions.
100%.
So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Did I do you justice? Is
You
that
did,
how
absolutely.
you would describe yourself?
Yes, definitely. Well, I tend not to like to describe myself in any which way. More have an experience with me, and then you'll get to see what it's all about. The root of everything, and what I appreciate about the Alpha Renaissance, is that you're starting people off saying agency within themselves. And what's the number one aspect of a person today is the way they communicate. That's how they show up. That's how we see them. That's every experience and interaction we have with them. And what I find fascinating is people don't spend enough time. They spend a lot of time on the appearance side, but they're not spending time on actually how they're communicating.
When you say they're spending time on the experience side, what do you mean?
More appearance. So when we wake up, if you're a man or a woman, you'll spend some time in the mirror making sure you look okay. But we don't open our mouth when we look in the mirror to see, how am I going to communicate today? We look at just the silent appearance of how we are. But that's only one exposure. Sometimes that's only 7% of the complete makeup of how someone's experiencing you. How you communicate stands for so much more. And the biggest issue that we find with everyone in the world today is that we're all trying to grab people's attention, and there's not enough of it to go around.
Yes.
So when you do have a moment with someone, where are you falling in that range?
Yes.
And so when we have an experience with someone, we'll coach them through what we call the 3 C's of great communication.
What are they?
Any guess what the first one is? Every time somebody communicates, you're looking to see if they have this.
I would say if they articulate themselves
Yes.
clearly.
Exactly. So clarity is number one. We want people to be clear when they speak. How many times have you been in a conversation where 10 minutes in, you're still wondering, what the heck are they going on about? I've got no idea what's happening in this conversation. Clarity is so important. Second C, we're limited on time. Conciseness is so important for individuals to realize. If you're not on point with your message, you're going to lose the audience. Even if you're one of the best communicators, there's a window of time that you have, which is typically maxes out at 2 minutes, where if you haven't pulled in the audience within that time, you've lost that conversation. Their minds have already gone. They're thinking about lunch. They're thinking about an email. They're thinking about something else. So there's a strategy we use with individuals where we coach them on something called suggestive thinking, sometimes questions, but a lot of the time is suggestive thinking, which is, how do I pull you into this conversation by saying, how many of you have seen this? And as soon as you say that, how many of you have, then the brain kicks in and says, oh, I have, what's he about to say? And automatically you start to pull people into your conversation.
So you're taking them from just focusing on your words to focusing on a concept that you presented to them.
Exactly.
Kind of just like kind of hook them in.
Exactly. Have you seen this before? And the brain says, what have I seen before? What is Neil asking me here? So you got to be clear. You have to be concise. And then the third one kicks in, which we all want, but you have to earn it. You can't force it on people. And that's why part of our training sessions, when we run them, I'll be running a training session. I've gone 15 minutes and I haven't even told them who I am. I haven't even told them my name yet. And I do it on purpose to see who's going to stay with me. That is it enough? And I'm using it as an exercise that I don't have to prove the third C to you. I'm trying to earn it with you as I'm communicating. The third C is credibility. We all want it. That trust me. Have you heard people say in conversation, you need to trust me?
How bad is that? As a
Believe me.
Expert? If someone is telling you to trust you,
then immediately
then you're like,
they're desperate. Yeah, exactly. It could have worked years and years ago where you need to trust me. And if you use it in a measured approach, I'm a fan of some reality TV. Not all reality TV, but there's one program that I love to watch.
There's some that are good.
Yes. Love is Blind. Don't judge me, but Love is Blind. My wife and I love to watch Love is Blind. Why? Because I'm watching to see the behaviors of the individuals. Is there going to be a connection?
Yes.
And so we were watching Love is Blind in Italy yesterday. And the gentleman, I can't speak Italian, my wife can, but I'm watching him and he says, you need to trust me. The female is having doubt. She's saying, I don't trust you because you were doing this gesture to all the ladies on the other side. So you're doing this with me. How can I even trust you? And then his response, he paused and he said it with some gravity. You need to trust me. And that is where it can be used periodically. But even still, the data was showing you can't trust him. How his actions were. I didn't
context,
trust him.
right? So
exactly.
That's an emotionally charged situation.
That's right.
She wants to believe him because she probably cares about him, likes him a lot. She's in a relationship or a situationship with him.
Yes.
So there's context where if you use, trust me.
Yes.
It may work.
Yes. But if you use it 5 times in a paragraph. So if I say, look, you need to trust me here. Okay, and then I tell you, well, you got to trust me on this.
Yes.
I need you to believe what I'm saying. Then I'm forcing it, and that's not where you earn it. So what I mean by credibility also is when you enter a room, if you have to tell them, I've got 20 years of research in this, I'm head of this, I've managed a team of 300 people, I do this, then you're forcing that credibility on folks. If you can just earn it, where as you talk, people don't even know you. They've got no experience. They've got no context of you. Obviously, title gives you that. Yeah. So there's a lot of CEOs that I work with. As soon as they walk in the room, they have gravitas. People respect them and they want to hear from them.
Yes.
So even the communication pieces I'm going to talk about, often they are immune to it within reason. They still need to work on it. They can generally be immune. On the first, there's grace because they're so smart and intelligent. So the Jamie Dimons of the world, they can have some mishaps in their communication.
Yes.
But people are still going to listen to them.
Totally.
But if you don't have the title and you're walking into an environment and a room, people need to know, can they trust you just with the way that you communicate? And too many corporate folks spend the most of their time working on the PowerPoint deck, working on the slides, working on the email. Which is great. That needs to have credibility with it too. That needs to look right. But then when you're tasked to sit with a person and discuss it, Are you holding that same level of gravitas that the document that you put together did? Because if you're not, and you're suddenly, as you experience someone and they are, if you gave me an introduction and I showed you what I like to call my 20-year younger version of myself before I was coached in this area, imagine if this was the experience. And an audience listening into this, if Tak introduced me and he said to me, okay, Neil, let's have you go. I'm excited to be here. You coach some of the best in the business. You've got years of experience. So he's giving me the gravitas, the credibility. So I've got that. I've earned it by you giving me the title. And it's obviously easier when someone else does it. But then if it's turned over to me and it's my turn to talk now, and this is what I call, again, the 20-year younger version, what would be your feedback? Tak, thanks for kind of, having me on.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to have kind of a good conversation about, well,
you don't seem credible.
Exactly. Immediately you're thinking,
not concise.
Why did I invite?
Yeah.
Why did I invite Neil to this podcast? He can't even speak clearly. I've given him all this gravitas, but he's just missed the mark.
How do you divvy up communication in today's world? I look at it as there's interpersonal communication, real-time communication.
That's right.
Like we're having right now. And then there's digital communication, communicating to the screen or the lens. How do you juxtapose the two? Are they the same? Are there fundamentals that you can learn that will help you in both, or are they totally different?
We look at it quite consistently. So similar to the gym. If you go to the gym regularly, you're working out your body, and there's functional fitness that, okay, I'm functioning, but then there's real world fitness. So if you have to lift something, move something, how strong are you going to be? I love to see, there's this gentleman, is it Antoinette? I don't know his full name, how to say it, but he dresses up as a cleaner in a gym.
Yes.
And then he goes around, and as he's going
a professional body, he's a power lifter.
Exactly. But he's the skinniest person you can see in those overalls.
Yes.
And everyone who's judging him is saying, yeah, there's no way you could lift this. And I love he has this mop. Yeah. I don't know the weight of the mop, but it might even be 100 pounds.
It's
and
heavy.
He's just holding it. And as soon as he gives it to the most giant people in front of him, it just drops.
Totally.
And they try and lift it with one hand again, and they can't do it. Then they put a second hand. I'm watching some of these strong men trying to lift it, and they can't even lift that up. And then he goes and lifts that huge weight that looks impossible for someone of his size to do. So he's got real world applications of how to lift weight and how to move. So communication is very similar. You could be good. We don't advise people similar to what you may see in other courses or programs. Oh, when you're presenting, do this. We never like to use that language. When you're communicating, own these behaviors. You should always be on. It should be your baseline.
Yes, there's no turning, especially when you want to advance your communication skills. You have to actually just become
exactly
what you want to be. And even if you fake it till you make it, you have to actually just start implementing it. And you never turn that switch off. At home, with your friends, you just have to make a decision to say, hey, I'm going to communicate with less disfluencies. I'm going to communicate with less etc.
Yes. That's such an important tool, because for me in my growth, I was still having weaknesses when I would communicate professionally. I'll never forget the feedback I got probably 12, 13 years ago, where someone said to me, I was in front of 150 people running the program. I thought, yes, I own my communication skills. I'm very clear. I don't use fillers, none of it. And the person came to me during the break and they said, can I give you some feedback? I said, sure, yeah. Maybe a little ego coming in, defense, the amygdala firing up, saying, what's this person going to tell me? And this was the first time I was working with this person. So I didn't have context on them. I didn't know what they were going to say. Their first comment was, you use a word every 3 sentences. I said, well, what word is that? And she said to me, you use the word literally every 3 sentences. No. Immediate reaction. There's no way I'm using the word literally. And then she said, you'll also extend that where you'll start maybe every 5th or 6th sentence with to be honest. What? There's no way. As soon as the break finished, I started with that group again. I felt, whoa, this immediate, the first word that I used was, to be honest, team, To be honest, does that mean I was lying every other time that I was speaking? And only now I'm going to be honest with you? Language plays such an important part into how people receive you. And if you're using weak phrases or phrases that reveal something about your mindset, people will latch onto that because you're showing it up much more. Another example is people will often use an or an And I'll give feedback to people where they're not realizing it. We look at their speech wave pattern, and you can do this yourself. If you're at home, open your voice memos app, click on record, and you'll immediately see the wave graph pop up. Swipe it up so it's full screen. As you see that wave graph, have yourself talk. And what will happen is, a lot of people don't realize this, but they're speaking and they're using these and ums, but it sounds similar to this. And the wave graph shows it. So Taka might be saying, next I've got a flight coming up. And one of the things that I have to do is check in 3 suitcases. So I'm just random talking, but the is louder than every other word or phrase that I'm using. So I'm now forcing my audience to zone in to the phrase rather than words I may want to emphasize. And in the wave graph on the voice notes, you can actually see where the is a lot louder.
I have a question about
Yes.
What do you think it comes from, right? So you're British,
yes.
right? Obviously. My wife is British, so we have these conversations about
That's
how Europeans don't have this desire to fill the space with words. And you may have noticed this with Americans. We talk to each other. We don't care to leave each other hanging. And it's actually considered rude. If we're at the gas station, if we're on a plane, if we're on vacation, we talk to each other. And there's this psychological thing about being rude, where if somebody engages with you, we engage back, no matter who they are. It's kind of a thing. Europeans don't do this as much. It's not this empty banter. You walk into a store and Chamonix, I doubt there'll be, they'll say, hey, welcome to our store.
That's right.
Like, it's none of this. It's like, what do you want? I don't have it. It's very straightforward. Where I wonder if the are coming from a place where we feel we need psychologically to feel the audio space, the verbal space, right? We don't want to feel, is it coming from a place of altruism, or is it a technical issue? Because it's so common.
That's right. Where it starts is actually in the amygdala. Let's unpack the science behind it. So your amygdala is trying to protect you. You know this as a doctor. I don't have to tell you everything. When the amygdala is on fire, it's always scanning throughout the day, and it's always looking for safety. So one exposure is, even when you see people stand, the amygdala is on, and you'll see people stand and they'll defend themselves. They'll cover themselves up. They'll want to put hands in pockets. They want to cover. Some people will like to hold, and they want to hold their arm. They're trying to protect the vital organs. So also, when someone's communicating, silence is a threat to the amygdala. Silence feels awkward. Have you ever been in an airport, train station, somewhere, and suddenly, boom, just goes quiet? And when it goes quiet, the amygdala goes on. Something must be wrong in this environment. So we have a rule with all our trainers that get to work with us and that we hire. We make a rule to show them the power of silence. And we say periodically, never go in to a training session. We've had some experiences, as you may have, where a trainer will go in and say, all right, folks, and this is where I use my terrible American accent because I heard it. Someone will say, all right,
You're
folks,
working on it.
I got it. Everybody's got to focus. Put your phones away, laptops away. You'll hear somebody saying it and you think, what sort of training session? Am I in boot camp of some version? No corporate training sessions should start that way, but I've seen terrible versions of it. And our training programs never start that way because it puts people in the amygdala state. You're telling me what to do. So what the amygdala does, what we say is, if you go quiet more, if somebody's busy on their phone and you just go quiet, I guarantee within about 6 seconds, you're going to be on their phone. And then they're going to look up. Because their amygdala is going to tell them something's wrong in this room. Something's gone quiet. What's happened here? And in my master's program, I had to spend 6 years working with children. And in that time with children, I realized, how do you control a group of 30, 60, 100 children? It's not when you shout. It's actually when you go quiet.
I as an anesthetist, right, I totally understand this. In the operating room, it can be pretty loud. Sometimes there's music playing, right?
Yes.
People are talking. There's lots of communication. And then if I am sitting on my chair, just monitoring the patient, of course, not looking at stocks or playing Angry Birds or whatever other people think we do. The second it goes quiet, like, whoa.
Everybody looks up. Everybody pauses.
And I get up. I look over the drape, making sure the surgeon is keeping the patient alive. What's going on, guys?
Yes.
What's happening?
Isn't it
because
interesting?
The silence is it puts you on
It's
high
a
alert.
warning,
So
exactly.
I definitely connect with that.
So guess what? When we communicate, when you go silent, it feels, the amygdala says, you must not know your content. There's a threat in here. So that was the first case of using it when we were children. 2 ways we pick it up. One, the silence is uncomfortable. So then we have to look for something to say because we don't like it. The amygdala doesn't like it. But if you sit in that silence a little bit longer, your brain, your amygdala says, you're not giving me any word or phrase to use. And we often use the cheapest phrases. I mean, I think, kind of, sort of, all these cheap phrases. And then you lose credibility. Credibility is earned in the moments of silence, not when you're saying, I mean, kind of.
How would the prototypical successful authoritarian archetype manipulate silence in a conversation?
In negotiation skills, you're trained to use it because whoever speaks first loses. That's a term that's used in many negotiation training sessions. And what that refers to is when the deal is placed on the table, okay, this is the number, this is the offer, this is what we want to discuss. And now you have to decide whether you accept it or not, either party. Whoever goes first typically will lose. Why? Because that person will be, I don't know, that kind of is below what we were, hoping for or anticipating. I'm not really sure that, and they just start revealing and
just
telling
leave the deal
you exactly.
on the table.
Yeah. And that's the number. Our offer is 10% lower. And then it's your chance to, how are you going to respond to it? One way to do it is a facial expression. So you're reacting instead of, then it shows that you're uncomfortable with what they offered you. It shows that, now we've got you. Now we hit a sensitive point. Also, you got to be careful because if somebody makes you an offer, let's say a house was overpriced, and typically most people aren't sitting at a table negotiating a house. When I bought our house, I said, I want to sit with the owner and have this conversation, which our real estate agents were both shocked with. That's not how it works.
That's unheard of.
I said, what do you mean that's not? I want to meet the person who I'm buying the house from.
And life is a negotiation.
Yes.
It works however we negotiate it.
Exactly. Let me sit with them. Let me talk with them. I had the owner show me around the house. I had the chance to meet them, see what their thoughts were, understand how they had done things appropriately and maybe not so appropriately. I could learn and understand them. And then I made him the offer directly. As I'm making someone the offer, I'm also watching how are they responding. Because if you are making an offer and that offer is significantly better than they were thinking, let's say somebody is selling $1 million home and they know it's overpriced. So they put it for $1 million, but they would be happy for 800, but they priced it at that. And then you come in and say, hey, this is too high. 900 is what we're looking at. And then the seller's response is, yeah, sure, the 900 is good. Yeah, we'll take it. Immediately, the person's going to walk away thinking, shoot, why did I offer 9? Maybe I could have gone lower. Mm-hmm. What? I just cheated myself here.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to have a response. And the amygdala, if you just go quiet, reflect on things, even if 900. And inside you might be thinking, I'll take it. That's 100,000 more than I was thinking. Mm-hmm. But we don't want to be in a position where we're being inauthentic, but training people to realize that everyone's watching your responses. So whether you're responding with a facial expression that's adding to what you're saying or taking away from it, whether you're using I kind of, and you're immediately showing you're unsecure with what you're saying next, you'll pull that audience or person in, or you'll show them a very different sign. And the amygdala's problem is we've ended up getting bad habits when we were young. And now it's not a case that we even feel uncomfortable. It's just that that's our habit when we communicate, to use very weak language. And notice this, when you type emails and reports, you won't put weak language in it. You'll often go back and say, oh, I used an I think there. No, I don't. I think.
Yes,
I know
totally.
that that's the case.
Yeah.
But I don't even want to use the word I know. I'll just say this number is out of range for what we were anticipating. Not, I think this number is out of range. Not, I kind of think, yes, maybe this is sort of not what we... And when we verbally speak it, instead of it being a clear sentence such as, this number is not within range, we'll say, as we kind of did some analysis, I don't kind of think it's somewhat in range. And it's what did that person say in that moment? So it's so important that people recognize that silence allows you to think. It's what we call the visible punctuation.
Silence, the visible punctuation.
Exactly. Cool. Have you ever read a run-on sentence?
Yes.
And what do you
might have created a couple?
Yes. What do you do when you read a run-on sentence? What do you immediately have to do after it?
You know exactly. You know it doesn't sound right. You know something is wrong.
And then you have to reread it.
Reread it, yes.
Because this is not making any sense to me. What is this person saying? So you start rereading it, and then your brain says, I still can't piece this sentence together because it's a run-on. There's no commas. There's no periods. And then eventually you say, I'm not even going to read this anymore. I give up. It's too hard. When we speak, if we don't put the commas, the periods, in England we like to call it the full stop, you're going to lose the audience that you're speaking with. Because there's one of my favorite movies. Adam Sandler made that movie Click with the remote control. He was given that gift. I'm not sure. It's a curse, in fact, that he could fast forward, pause, and slow-mo his life.
Yes.
But he couldn't rewind it.
Yes.
Most people, when we're speaking, if you're not getting to the point, they want to just fast forward you. 2 times speed. And you can see all social media sites now, they have that button you can just press or swipe up, and boom, it's 2 times speed. We want to do that in live conversations, but we can't. Because it's human nature. They don't. Like that, and then amplify it. If a person's saying, kind of, as they're speaking, immediately you're going to lose focus and energy with them. Very distracting.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of themes there, but one that I keep hearing and it's reappearing over and over in this conversation is authenticity.
That's right.
Because if you're going to communicate, you need to stay true to yourself. Because that's replicable. How do you know if your authenticity needs to be challenged? And I say that because I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I was always taught, "Hey, be yourself." You speak slang, you speak African American vernacular. Yeah, that's fine. Just do you. Like, who cares, right? And I'm also a kid that went to boarding school in the Middle East, right? So I actually had to go learn a completely different language. But growing up, I was taught, hey, be proud of who you are.
That's right.
Be authentic to yourself.
Yes.
Don't code switch.
Right. Actually, that's a really important point you're bringing up. When you went to the Middle East, which country again?
Damascus, Syria.
So you're in Syria. You now have to learn the language. And I'm sure you had to learn the slang words that were there.
Absolutely.
And the way, the tone, the style, the element of speaking, that the formal teaching of it is not quite in there.
Yes.
So now, who are you going to be authentic to? Are you going to bring South Side of Chicago style communication because that's who you authentically are? Or are you going to try and fit in to the culture and the society that you're in? And that's a big question.
Huge. I mean,
there's no easy answer for it either.
Yeah.
I'll give you my reflection on it. It's all to do with what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
So if you're in a business setting, the goal of a business setting ultimately is influence. I'm here in business to influence you, to take a decision, to buy something, to choose something, to move forward with something. So generally in business, we're trying to have a level of influence with everyone we interact with and who we communicate with. So now if you're in a different culture and a society, you could say, I want to do me. But if they can't even process what you're doing and saying, if they can't understand you, it's not going to work.
Totally. This is something that I realized very early on, was that actually in America, okay, so you have this geographic location of wherever you're from.
Right.
And they speak a certain type of way. They use slang words. But if you ever want to get out of that, if you want to excel, you're going to have to learn what I like to call the lingua franca.
I haven't heard of that.
Well,
tell me.
It's basically the concept of, throughout ancient times, there
Yes.
was always one language that was
That's
used.
right.
That maybe it was Persian. Persian was a
Yes.
big lingua franca. Maybe it was Arabic. Now it's English.
That's
right.
right.
And some may
Yes.
say Mandarin, but that's geographically isolated.
Mm-hmm.
It's English right now. Where if you learn how to speak this language, you're going to be able to talk to the vast majority of people.
100%.
Now, that's an actual language, but there are also variances in
Yes.
that language, the
Exactly.
culture of that
Yes.
language, right?
Yes.
Because if you learned, how to speak English in, down south,
Yes.
it might not apply if you go to New York, right? Or if you go to
Exactly.
Cali, and vice versa,
Yes.
right? So
I am seeing in all my travels in America, though, that the accents that used to be there, sometimes I'll laugh with folks and they'll say, what does American sound like to you? And in my head, when I think of American, I'm kind of like trying.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I kind of want to speak on, and it can go very nasally in certain areas, but then I could really have a draw and have people sort of speak.
That's
like
pretty
this.
good, actually. That's pretty good.
Down here in Texas, and I have a terrible accent, but I'm gonna try.
There's a little
to
Elvis
see
in there.
y'all, and if we can do it, you have all these accents that go around.
Yeah.
Something's changed though. Most corporate organizations have offices everywhere, and so it's balanced out for the most part.
Yes.
There are cultural tendencies, but accents are changing.
Yes.
And so something fascinating on what you're saying is that level of influence. You said if you stick to what you were doing and you try and apply that authenticity to another environment, yes, you can try and be authentic, but it's not going to resonate.
Yes.
It's not going to work.
It actually may be unstrategic communication.
That's right. And that's why I've heard leaders who I coach, they'll say, oh, with my team, I can be a certain way because they're with me, they get me. And this is some very, very senior people in industry that move markets when they communicate. And they'll go to a new culture. Well, a lot of folks are going to the Middle East right now.
Mm-hmm.
Business is booming there. There's a lot of potential there. And culturally, it's different. How you hold yourself. You can't be a certain way where you are with your team if you want to have that same level of influence. We're not asking people to not be inauthentic. What we're asking for is this style, is this language going to work here?
Totally.
And the simple way to refer to it is appearance.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go to the beach, I find this fascinating, that men and women will wear shorts, and especially if you're going to Europe, what men choose to wear on their bottoms, hate to get graphic, but it's very short and it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
In America and the UK, we'll wear shorts.
Yeah.
But the more European I get, I
Khakis.
see it's for men. They'll wear some very short trunks that you wouldn't be seen wearing.
I'm
that.
not sure we can call them trunks, by the way. Okay. All right. This is
I
kind
don't
of
know
what they
what
are.
else to-
That's Speedos.
All right, Speedos. I'm glad you said it first. If you're a man wearing Speedos, you wouldn't go around the streets wearing that. But it's totally fine and accepted that people can be in their underwear at the beach.
Totally.
But we know that same attire, which I'm replicating to your language, your tonality, your style, it can work at the beach.
Totally.
But it's not going to work in a business setting. I'll never forget, I showed up in Miami. I'm doing a training session in Miami, and outside the training building, I'm seeing people in bikinis and the Speedos, and my brain is saying, where on earth am I? I'm used to being in New York, San Francisco, where, okay, there's certain dress attire and styles that you have. But this shocked me the first time I trained in Miami, that, wait, there's a complete mix of appearances that you can have. Now, when I got into the training room, everyone was smartly dressed or smart casual. I didn't see any bikinis
Miami
or
is
Speedos
different.
there.
Yes, yeah,
but it
different
still
culture.
felt exactly.
Totally.
And so then it's accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to match the environment that you're working in. You as a person have to realize, yes, I'm authentic in this environment. I can still be authentic in this environment too.
Yes.
Now, you can have nuances that make you outside of what that norm is. You can dress a certain way. I was excited to see the Delta CEO in their big town hall that they did in Las Vegas, and they put on every plane. I'm a huge Delta fan, by the way.
Love Delta.
Fly Delta religiously.
They can sponsor the show if they like it. You guys want to sponsor, please. I love Delta.
Delta's amazing. I've tried other airlines, and even I've sat in first class to see, let me get the first class experience, and I'm shocked that you don't even get a bottle of water.
Oh my God, yeah.
The snacks that they give you are the poorest of quality.
It's bad.
And you just feel this is not what I expect if you're sitting in a certain seat. So with Delta, they play this video, and they have these videos available of the actual culture of Delta, and I love watching it. And so the CEO's on stage, and he's wearing Nike shoes instead of dress shoes as part of his look. And I thought, yes, a CEO, big organization, and they're choosing to change the style that they can wear some different shoes rather than standard black, brown shoes that everyone has been wearing. That's a unique style that you can add to it. If you try and do that with communication, it can work, but most of where communication is going today is not that you're adding more to it, it's in fact that you're saying less.
Interesting.
Even TV, movie, and shows now, they're designed in the same light. The dialogue that used to be there is a lot less than what it is today.
So it goes back to your point of your one of your C's, concise,
and clearness
to
what you're saying. That's not changing. I do not see that going anywhere else.
So maintaining, you're saying you can't maintain that authenticity, but you have to be willing to expand your
adjust
mindset,
and adapt as well. Exactly.
I remember
with that style.
Going to, when I first went to college, again, I was coming from the south side of Chicago. I had a deep, hood accent. Okay. Like it's funny. I was in Inglewood in Chicago at a farmer's market, and a lady was selling something, and she asked me where I was from.
Right.
And I was like, I grew up down the street. And she said, no, you didn't. You didn't grow up over here. And it blew my mind. But I also thought about it was a lot of work that went into that. Right. Because early on, when I went to college, I would talk to other Black people. Now, these people came from different socioeconomic backgrounds than I did. Okay, they were middle class. They went to nice schools, and they would often say, "What did you say? Say it again."
I've had that so often.
And it blew my mind because these were Black people,
right?
And they were from the Chicagoland area, but they couldn't understand me. So having that experience of understanding.
Did you feel inauthentic then when that took place?
Because I had already been to boarding school in the Middle East and I spoke Arabic, I understood that that's the ultimate code switching. I didn't have a problem with code switching. Okay. Because I understood if I speak a different language, that's the epitome of code switching. Yes. So I said, wow, I can speak classical Arabic. I can read classical Arabic. And in English, I'm barely making it. So I went and did I was ridiculed by all of my friends, but I joined it's called SOAR. It was Student Orientation, Advisement, and Registration. And these are the very excited people that you see on the campus, other students that are like, welcome to SIM, welcome to college freshmen, and they have signs. But one of the things that they make you do is give tours. And
so then you have to practice your speaking.
I had to practice, and I gave tours all summer. I was the main tour guy.
Wow!
And it forced me to articulate myself aloud because I realized that I couldn't really speak.
100%.
Which was nuts, by the way. It was nuts, and I never felt I was being inauthentic because if you want to get to where you envision. Where you are right now, you have to make some changes. Yes, totally. So I really feel you when you bring up the authenticity, but understanding that authenticity shouldn't hold you back.
That's right. And we want to be able to be ourselves. So similar to your point, when I came to America almost 20 years ago now, and I still do this today, and I have to be conscious of it. I'll go up to someone. Now, be honest with me. Tell me if you understand what I'm about to say. So if I went up to you and say, can I have a bottle of water, please? Do you know what I just said? Now, your wife is British, so you may understand it. What did I say?
Can I have a bottle of water, please?
Yes.
But I might not, if You would have
So
told
many-
my
yes.
father that.
He would have said,
He would have said
"What?"
what?
Yeah.
He would have said you're talking too fast.
Yes.
Slow down.
And I'm just saying, I'll just go up in a Starbucks, wherever, and I'll just say, can I just have a bottle of water, please? And they'll just go, their brain just free. I watch them.
They're like, you
freeze.
want me to put this
Yeah,
on?
exactly. And then I realized, shoot, Neil, what did
Is that
you just
your
say?
name?
Yeah, and then exactly. They just freeze and they say, what? And I say, can I just have a bottle of water, please? And they'll freeze again and say, I'm not. And then I realize, Neil, say it properly for here. And then I'll say, can I have a bottle of water, please? And then I'll say that, and then I'll go, oh, you want a bottle of water? Sure. But I realized, yes, I couldn't be my authentic British South.
Yes.
And if there's British people listening, they'll know exactly what region I'm from in the UK,
Which
sounding
is crazy,
that
by
way.
the way.
Yes, there's nuances to everything. That's not serving me in this environment. I'm forcing people to then respond back. So even when I communicate, I've had to morph certain words. I want to say router, but nobody in America says router. They'll say router.
Router.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my brain says, no, I want to say the way I say it.
Yes.
But I know if I do that, I'm offsetting the message where I'm forcing my audience to now think, oh, what word did Neil use? Now their brain has already gone off on a tangent.
Yes.
I've already moved forward with my sentences, and now they're behind.
Yeah. You're on the phone with Comcast and you're using router. You're speaking to a lady that just wants to go home and get to her kids. And you're wasting her time by playing your cultural relevancy.
That's right. Language, tone, style, it's going to be cultural, but you have to identify, where am I about to have influence in this next conversation? Do I want to adjust or slightly modify so that the audience's reception of what I'm saying is at the highest level it can be?
Do you want to win?
Exactly.
Do you want to win?
Yeah.
And I think that's a question that we have to ask, especially when we're trying to be authentic, and not just depending on what background you're coming from, but when you're trying to do new things.
Yeah.
This podcast has been something where I've had to get on camera more.
Yes.
And it forces you to really think about how to effectively communicate. And you can say, hey, well, I'm just going to do it how I want to do it.
Yes.
That doesn't mean anything if that's not
right.
the way that is the winning method.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not the way of the winning method, then you're just wasting your time.
Unless, are you open to have a live coaching right now?
Yeah, I guess so. Why not? Wow, yeah, I'll do it.
I'm sensing your amygdala is turning on right now, saying, what's Neil about to do with me?
I'm going to get silent. Yes. That's what you're asking. I might be quiet.
One thing to work on, and you're a very good communicator, there are always areas that we can work on. And we often like to say, when you look at the range of behaviors, there's about 6 behaviors that we cover. It's everything from eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, my posture, my tone of voice. And the last one we talk about is disfluencies. Now, disfluencies, when you communicate, most people don't realize they're even using it, but it's making you disfluent in how you approach yourself. And the phrase comes from speech language pathology. Credit to my wife. She has taught me a lot of these areas where as you communicate, we don't even realize that we're struggling for a word. We're trying to find that word, but we've got habits that have made us speak that way. In speech language pathology, they'll observe someone where when they're struggling to articulate, maybe it's due to an injury, there's a struggle they're having, then they'll try and fill that space where they're searching and they'll become disfluent. And when you become disfluent, you'll use disfluency such as the you know, the kind of, the I think. Now, most people in this world haven't had some severe situation that's caused them to truly medically become disfluent because of something inside their body. They've just learned habits to become that way. So the way on anyone, the first behavior that we look at for communication is a combination of disfluencies first and eye contact. Those are the 2 primary ones. So eye contact, as an example, you're very good at keeping it. But if you see people where their eyes dart around a lot when they're talking, it can be very unnerving to a person.
Yeah.
Even with animals, a lot of people have dogs. And you can tell with your dog when your dog is guilty because your dog doesn't want to give you eye contact. If a dog's chewed up something in the home,
100.
I'm fascinated.
Ears are down, eyes are down.
The dog is not looking and they're looking at the side.
So
I find it
amazing.
fascinating that
very
every
fascinating.
animal, mostly if they're conscious of other humans, they know what they're doing and they feel guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So as human beings, when we're with someone and if our eyes are darting around a lot, it shows nervous energy. Doesn't matter how on point I am with my behaviors. If my eye contact is darting around, I'm going to lose you as an audience.
Yes.
Amplify that with the disfluencies of what you're saying. People get very distracted now. And the percentage that we're looking for of usage of words that are disfluent, fillers, or weak phrases should be, of all conversing when you're speaking, should be less than 3%. Our target is less than 2, but on average, if you can get to less than 3, you're in the top 2% of communicators in the world. Most people are at about 15%. They don't realize it. And we look at 2 metrics as a combo of this, which fillers, which weak words. There are repetitions that go into that formula too, but we don't focus on it too much. Some people have some stutters. Some people repeat a phrase a certain time. If it's over a certain percentage, we focus on it. The primary 2 are your weak words and your fillers. And our goal, we have a training software, our Ekios AI, and it analyzes everyone's communication. And so we can record anyone and immediately we'll show you what percentage of your words are weak and fillers.
Are people surprised?
100%.
Yeah.
They don't realize when they see, oh my gosh, I said like 27 times. I said 42 times in that 3-minute conversation. How? And then when you play and you show them the transcript, they immediately look at it and they realize, okay, I need to fix this. The amygdala, again, wants to stick and do what it has always done. It loves patterns. It loves to do what it's done. It doesn't want to change that much. So when you give somebody feedback and you say, hey, you need to do better with your communication, most people's response is, yeah, sure, I'll work on it. But they don't really know what to focus on. When we show them the data and the stats, often a person, we don't have to say much. We say, let's just look at your communication resume. Let's see what your stats and data looks like. A person sees it and then they say, help me.
Yeah.
Fix me.
If you have the data, you would change the behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you get a blood report and you see your liver panels are off, you then say, I need to make a change here.
Or a rig is a big one.
Exactly.
Just knowing how you're sleeping at night has changed my life.
Wow.
And I look at the data and you correlate it with your behavior and the activities and what do you do 3 hours before you went to sleep, et cetera, and you see it and you say, wow, I need to make an adjustment.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's the same in communication. I wish we had a device. I've dreamed of working on this that would be on you, that every time you used, for example, or an it would give you a minor electric shock.
We gotta ask Elon to add that to the Neuralink.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Neuralink's just going to remove those words.
Yes.
But you're not even going to need to use them
That's right.
because it's just going to eliminate them out.
That's right.
When ChatGPT came out, it wasn't using in the voice mode when you speak to AI, there were no disfluencies in there. So then they said, oh, but this now sounds too robotic. So let's go ahead and put them in. I cannot stand that.
Yes.
I disapprove of that rule completely. Here's why. We do not need to accept. Hopefully, if we were to go back and my team analyze this recording and they said, Neil, let's see how you did on this podcast. And my team would review it with me. And they would show me how many ums, you knows, and I think kind of did I use. Now, it will flag some because I'm using it as an example, but I should be at that 0% with some of them. There are certain phrases such as so, they're acceptable periodically, but it can't be every sentence. So what we're doing with AI, it's still below the 3%, by the way. So if you have a voice chat with AI, they'll use disfluencies because they're trying to make it sound more human.
Yes.
But they're way below 3%, even at 1%. And that's where we should be as humans. Where's a good way to look at this? So if I was to coach you now and give you an example, if there's an actor on any movie or TV show, you will see that their disfluencies are way below 1% throughout an entire movie or show.
As they're acting.
Exactly.
Yes.
The directors, the scriptwriters, they will not allow them to use it. The only time they allow them to use it is when they're showing a character weakness or a flaw.
Or a head injury.
Yes, okay. That's where it can creep in as well, for sure. In that moment where a person's using it, then it shows weakness. An amazing show which fully allowed the bandwidth of disfluencies to raise at that 3% level above. One show, the only show that's ever done it, that I've watched. I'd love to hear if there's more. Succession. Have you ever seen Succession?
Every single episode. Masterpiece.
I binge watched it after coming off a trip. I saw it in the plane. I said, this is actually pretty cool.
So good.
There's one character in there. Do you know which character uses disfluencies above and beyond?
Macaulay Culkin's brother.
He sometimes does, but he's not the character. It's the cousin Greg.
Oh, Greg, yes.
Cousin Greg. So I was kind of like wondering. And his character became something entertaining that people loved watching because they looked at him and almost felt sorry for him and found a liking towards him. But no one would ever say, hey, you need to model yourself on Cousin Greg.
Yes.
We use it as an example of weakness. I've never seen directors allow him to go way above the 3% threshold.
Yes.
And he is constantly, so I was kind of thinking if I could kind of maybe is now kind of the right time to, ask if we could kind of get that, promotion.
And he's intentionally supposed to be a weak character.
Exactly.
Yes. Wow. That's
so we're watching it, we're seeing it. Culture, society is trying to show us weak natures, weak behaviors. These are the weak characters that we are.
Yes.
But then you watch other shows, Suits, Harvey Specter. So many people have heard, I'd love to speak such as Harvey Specter. Guess what? Harvey Specter doesn't use any disfluencies.
Yeah.
Then you see Billions, the show, Axel, boom, no disfluencies. You will see every TV show where they want you to emulate a persona or a personality. This is who you should look to communicate.
And I know this is controversial, and a person that I knew was really intelligent when they articulate themselves is the president.
Right.
I've never really heard him use disfluencies.
He does use some.
He does.
His language, though, is not verbose. He will simplify his language and just say what he wants to say. He's the first president that I've seen that I've not seen a president when you saw Gaza, Palestine, Israel, and they were looking for a ceasefire. I forget the exact language that Trump used. But Trump came off the helicopter. He was about to go on the helicopter. And they asking him, there was a ceasefire. They weren't supposed to fire. And he goes, yes, I'm disappointed. And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And he just goes out and he swears. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that was he's just saying what he feels in the shortest way.
Yes.
And he'll consistently do that.
Yes.
Sometimes his language, though, doesn't make sense. He'll say a sentence and you wonder, I'm not sure quite what he meant there. But he just says it and it's somewhat accepted.
Yes.
Here's why, though, his style and language has won over a nation where they voted for him. And I go back to the 2016 election. Why did Trump beat Hillary Clinton? And in my book that I'm in the process of writing, I have this as a section and a chapter.
Please tell.
And it's all about content and how you add the content into the narrative of what you're saying. Bhandari of New York now, he's done the exact same playbook. He's copied versions of what Trump's done in order to beat the populational vote of where they'll usually go. The science behind it is quite simple. What language are you using where people are absorbing it and then repeating it to other people? If your message isn't clear, concise, and credible enough that a person absorbs, digests, and then shares it with other people, you haven't done a good enough job.
Wow, that is so brilliant.
So look at Hillary Clinton. Look at Trump. So if I asked you in 2016, so we're 10 years out from that now, can you remember what Trump said he was going to do if elected back then in 2016? Give me 2 or 3 things.
Oh, build a wall.
Build a wall. What else?
Build a wall. The ban. He's going to ban immigrants from coming here.
Right. Immigrants. Yeah. Can we do a third one? I'm going back to the archives now.
Yes.
Obamacare.
Oh yeah, he was going to repeal Obamacare.
Drain the swamp, whatever that means.
Yes.
Whatever the phrasing means.
Build a wall was the one that was so. Drain a swamp, build a wall, and lock her up.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you hear these phrases that are out there?
That was 2016.
Exactly. Wow. And we still remember it to this day that these are some of his phrases. There's not a lot of depth behind
Yes.
it, but he managed to get a following that people said, I like where he's going because it's simplified language and direction.
Wow, that's so brilliant. It's so true and obvious when you say it.
Now let's do the assessment. Hillary Clinton. Tell me 3 things that Hillary Clinton said she was going to do if elected. The silence says everything, doesn't it?
Lock President, lock Trump up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And she had a 2-page manifesto in newspapers showing what she was going to do.
She was just saying, I'm not
Trump.
Yeah,
you don't want to vote for him.
Yeah.
But there was nothing substantial that people could latch onto that said, I want to vote for him.
What's even crazier is I remember the 2008 campaign, Obama's campaign, and I remember the DNC convention, and you have to contextualize this where we have the Affordable Care out, and Obama is trying to sell it. He's trying to sell. Nobody really knows what the hell is going on with it, what it does, what we're going to pay, how it's going to work. And I remember President Clinton, Bill Clinton, getting up there at the convention, and he just laid it out.
Wow.
With simplicity. He said, these are what your premiums are going to be. These are going if you have comorbidities, this is what it means. And it was short. It was 7 minutes. Yes. I remember it being short, but it was just sweet. Wow. He nailed it. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I understand the Affordable Care Act now.
Makes sense.
And then that was 2008, right? So I remember, I remember that still, which is insane.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
If there's simplified content, people can digest it. But what does a lot of the corporate world do? Let me pack slide decks with as much content and information as possible so that you'll try and see how smart I am.
Yes.
But you can do that because there are a huge percentage of the population that like to look at the details. Of course there is. You need those details. When it's your turn to talk, how do you give the simplified version so that they can ultimately get to the best part of any conversation? They can start asking questions.
To add on to that, I met Hillary Clinton. The first time I met her,
wow.
I was having a conversation with her, and I can never forget how warm the embrace was.
Interesting.
When I walked up to her, I felt as though she had known me for a long time, and we were friends, just catching up.
Trait, yes.
So to say that she's no bum.
She's talented.
She's an all-star when it comes. She's an all-star politician. She's a top-level politician, right?
Yes.
She has that factor where she can make you feel
that's right.
that you all have been good friends for years. That's how she made me. She was so warm.
Yes.
So to see that flip
exactly
in her communication skill is just very powerful.
Yes. And this is where I would have been excited to see a female president come in. For what it stands for, if they're qualified, if they've got the skills to do it. And when you look at a lot of presidents recently, they're just one person, and it's how they impact the team that's there. What did Biden get slated for during his term, most recent term? Was because where was he? Now that Trump's in power, you can see a message coming out every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Trump said this, Trump's doing this, Trump's doing this. Maybe once every 2 months, I remember an article coming out or a pop-up come out on my phone saying Biden said this. It was the opposite.
They hit him.
Yeah. So then who's
no
really
communication
the leader?
at all,
exactly.
Which is probably the worst communication.
100%. So as a leader, we see this in organizations where how often are you communicating? And there's some leaders that bury themselves. Maybe once a year they show up and do a town hall. And then it's disconnected from where the audience is. They don't even meet the rest of the team. There's no presence of what they're doing or saying. Look at the banks today. Who's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase? Jamie Dimon. I have to look it up. Of the other banks, if I went out and did a poll today and said, can you tell me the CEO of Bank of America?
Yeah, everybody knows Jamie Dimon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he's been doing it for a number of years. He grew up in Queens, New York. I believe it was Jackson Heights in New York, somewhere in that area. And his style is very natural and conversational. He's not trying to do verbose corporate speak. Now, anyone paying attention to this, This does not mean you have to dumb down your tone or your style. Not at all. You can still speak with the intelligence that you know how to speak with. It's just making sure that there's clarity to your message at the end and consistently. If you don't have that, you're going to lose the audience. If you're speaking with jargons, verbose phrases that people aren't understanding, you're losing your audience.
You know, speaking of that, we talk about
So I'm going to coach you in the moment.
Oh, yes. Actually, coach me.
We skipped that, but I'm going to coach you in the
Well,
moment.
I mean, so many things percolating in my brain from this conversation.
I love it.
We can go all types of directions.
Exactly.
But let's go
every
for the coaching.
time you're about to speak, every time you're about to ask a question or reflect back on what you're thinking, sometimes, and we can look at this in the data, you're starting your statements with a phrase. And that phrase or any version of that. So any disfluency that you're about to use, it will typically happen at the beginning of your sentence because you're still trying to formulate what you're thinking. It's in your head. You're putting the words together. We like to call it your kitchen of words and language. You're prepping up and you're cooking up a sentence. You're not cooking up a soup or a pizza. You're cooking up a sentence. So the question is, what ingredients are in your kitchen that you're going to use? If I go to your kitchen, which I'm sure it's very clean, healthy ingredients, but if I showed up in your kitchen and I saw that, and I'm a good chef, but you have really poor quality ingredients, no matter what I'm making, it's not going to be a good dish because there's cheap quality, terrible processed ingredients. It's the same way with your language. If you're communicating and in your kitchen of words and ingredients, when we open the cupboards, it's terrible, weak phrases, you're going to end up using that and it's going to be a very poor sentence. So before you even start, let's remove these passive, weak phrases, lean into the silence and only use real words. And I might give you a signal to just pause there as a reminder to the amygdala, lean into the silence, embrace it, start to feel comfortable with it. So you were going to ask me a question, which I hope you haven't forgotten now, which can happen.
No, I'm
what were you going to say?
What you're saying is...
So even then, did you feel some of those?
Yes.
Your brain wanted to just say something and you were suppressing it, which is good. Let's see. And by the way, respect and kudos to you. There are so many podcasts that I don't go on purely because the hosts know that their weak communication is going to show up. And then what if I'm going to say something on it? It's hard.
Yes.
And I have to be respectful not to give feedback unless they want me to give feedback. But this is why a lot of people that I'm around, they go quiet because they know that I'm going to be observing and watching everything they do and say. I don't mean to do it.
Oh, no, you're a tough friend to have. You are.
Exactly.
Greatness is iterative in your book. You're going to make sure that you communicate wisely and well because you want the best for your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I want the people around me to know that.
Yes.
And that's why I don't have a lot of friends because no one wants to be coached in every second, every time we're talking.
Are you that annoying friend?
I don't say it, but they just more. Here's what it is. All people I've worked with, they said, Neil, as soon as I just go around you, I become hyper focused and sensitive. I don't even need to say anything.
Yes.
They just know I'm aware of what they're doing and saying. So now as you're going to speak, ask, say things, just use that pause there. You don't need any other phrase before it. Start to feel comfortable with the silence. Go ahead.
I'm going to try my best to be as un-American in my communication as
By
possible.
the way, no, we got to fix that. It's not just American.
I feel like
British
do it as well.
British, they're terrible. Like literally, so I was like literally trying to, basically I was trying. They do it too. Every single language does it. In Japan, they use the phrase is ano. In Mandarin, in Chinese languages, there's one word I can't use, but they use a word to fill the space. In Spanish, in Italian, there's always a phrase that people are using. In French, it's they'll extend the as they speak.
Yes.
So it's not one country or region. It's every human being because the amygdala is uncomfortable with silence. So just lean into that silence.
I'm going to take this conversation in a different direction slightly and talk about AI because you brought it up. So artificial intelligence, we have ChatGPT helping us communicate more effectively.
Yes.
It's proofreading, it's rewriting,
Yes.
our emails, right? Can we trust it? We've been using it I've been using it religiously for the past year. I mean, I am addicted to it.
Yes.
Okay. I love me a chatbot.
Yes.
What are some of the nuances in communication that these chatbots, these LLMs are getting wrong? And how do we, I guess, effectively use them better? Because they're not going anywhere.
Yes.
And I know you are a big fan of
100%.
artificial intelligence. You've incorporated it into your business, your coaching.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
AI is a piece that everyone has been wondering when it would happen. We're now living in it. We should be so excited and scared at the same time, of course. The movies we watched when we were young, they're giving us the potential of what we saw. That would be cool if we had it. It's here today. So I have 2 areas of focus. 1, humans today, everyone should realize they're not as clear as they could be with what they're thinking and doing. When the AI spits out their thought process, when they input all the details in and you see it, you say, yes, how does it know me? That's clearer than I was trying to speak it. Yes, that's the message that's there. These models are tuned to be the very best version of you. And of course, as they started, they weren't amazing. They were phenomenal at the first instance. They're just getting stronger and stronger. The challenge that I have with people is they don't know how to use it to get the most out of it. When they do use it, there's this, now it's gone off tangent. Mm-hmm. I might as well just do it myself. I had a call this week with a particular fund that they're trying to grow their team and sales team. So the head person who's running this group of 10 people, they get on the call with me and they're trying to articulate what they want the individuals to do going into the next year, what their targets are. So I'm hearing them speak and their mindset, because they've got so much going on inside their heads. They're this way, they're that way, they're speaking on one piece, they're on the next piece, but they need to do this, they need to focus on region, but I need them also, they have a relationship with this investor, so I need them to focus on this, and it's so wide.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing it, I'm trying to be my own LLM to figure out, what is this person saying?
Yes.
What direction, how am I going to lead this group?
Totally.
I've got a 2-day training session that I'm going to do with that group. I need to be prepared for this, and I'm not getting clarity on what they need to do. So I said to them, I'm going to open ChatGPT and I just want you to talk. I just want you to explain. And I go first and I say, hi Chat, I'm with you with this company. I'm with this person. I name them. We're going through a conversation where I need you to help me get to this outcome. I just talk to it as a human being. I'm not trying to talk to it as get flustered that it's AI, I have to speak to it a certain way. Don't even try. It's built on human intelligence.
Totally.
So just be a human with it. And we just go on a narrative with ChatGPT as an example. And we'll just say, we're trying to do this. We want every individual in the region to have this, to have that. Then as the person finishes, I'll wrap up and I'll say, now that you've heard all of this, can you first give me the master prompt for this so that we can clarify what we're trying to do? And then you can give me a sample of what the output of a job description and role should be. I want to be able to see a sample of the headings that we could use. So I'm talking to it as I would a human.
Yes.
Boom, off it goes. It outputs all this information. The person looks at it and says, yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, but I didn't know how to distill it. And it's captured all the names, all the people, all the details that I as a human couldn't have done by just trying to walk away and type it.
Yes.
If AI is not part of every single discussion and conversation you're having, you are missing out on one of the most intelligent team members you could have ever hired. And most of these models are now $25 a month.
Yes.
You should be hitting the dictaphone button, hitting the record button, having them listen to it, whatever conversation it is, and then they're part of the discussion.
So you don't really look at it as replacing communication. You look at AI as an enhancement for communication.
100%. And it should be a voice in the room. It should be someone that you're listening to and saying, let me get your opinion. Because again, it's tuned and wired to be the best version of humans that it can be. So for example, we work with multiple funds and hedge funds across the world. All of them sit together in some version of an investment committee. Sometimes it's a small group, sometimes it's a bigger group, and they sit around discussing, this is our investment thesis in these sectors, in these companies, in these names that we need to be investing in. And then what they'll do is they'll make a decision to say, what direction should we go in? Should we buy it? Should we sell it? What should we do? Should we hold it? Why not have a tuned up model of AI that sits in the room with you having that conversation?
Yes.
It's not going to make the decision. We don't encourage funds to say, yes, go ahead and make that investment. What do you think we should do? And we're just going to follow you. Just as you have 5 team members on the investment committee, add a 6th person that's trained on everything from an investment process and you as a fund. So then it knows how to guide you and give you feedback.
And I'm sure this is, again, it's a tool. It's a teammate, as you described,
Exactly.
someone to help you with your business. In terms of, one of the things of this podcast is building your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pursuit of masculine excellence.
Yes.
And men are supposed to be confident.
That's right.
What tools can young men or men in general deploy in their conversations that will help them maintain agency when they communicate with the world, if they struggle with confidence?
Every person has to be knowing the patterns of how they speak. Just as you know when you look in the mirror, I'm wearing this style. Oh, my hair's out. Oh, my collar's off. You would adjust it. We don't spend enough time doing that on what you're saying in a conversation. You get to do it in email or in text because you're seeing the words before you hit the send button. But in communication, often it's not the case. It's just coming out. So the number one skill set that everyone should be doing is recording themselves at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And the easiest way to do that is with ChatGPT or any AI tool, where if you're not willing to record yourself in a video, when you have a chat with your AI tool, don't just type, hit the dictaphone button and speak to it. Then once you're done, you'll see the transcript of everything you said. Some of these AI tools put every phrase, wording that you used, and you can see how disjointed or connected your sentences were.
So if you're a person, you're getting feedback from a universe where you start talking and 10 seconds in,
They start
they're
looking
looking
away.
at their phone, they
they're
look
looking at
away,
their
they walk away.
That's a clear
And
sign.
that's a person that you need to work on effectively and
100%.
communicating with confidence.
Yes.
So you can do this with AI.
Yes.
With a chatbot.
You can do it with a chat. Just by putting in your words, you'll start to see how you're communicating. I would encourage use the voice memos app or dictaphone app on any phone. Record that and record a video of yourself.
Yes.
There are, on all social media sites, there's less than 5%, I believe the stats are, that are actual contributors. The rest are watching it. So that means most people aren't tuned in to how they communicate. So it's important that we record ourselves to watch it. Once you do, look at it through that lens. You can count it for yourself. If you see passive phrases, weak phrases, peppered in every third, fourth, fifth word, you've probably got disfluencies at the rate of 10 to 15% of your dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
That should come down immediately.
Yes.
If you film yourself and you see your eyes are darting away as you're looking, you got to work on your eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
If you record yourself and you see that your hands are closed off a lot of the time, you got to start opening those hands up, showing that you're more open in conversations. If your posture and you're looking as though you're slouching or you can't be bothered, you'll see that in videos and where you are. You can make an adjustment.
Totally. I mean, seeing yourself speak or podcast or what have you, I mean, it is sometimes, especially in the beginning, it's been painful because you see like, oh my God, look at that way I was just slouching over or the way I was talking or my belly is out. I mean, you just go so critical.
You're in shape. You don't need to worry about
well,
that.
you can, if you're not conscientious of how you present yourself, you
Yes.
can look as though you are not in shape.
Yes. And this is where everyone is watching you with their own camera lens. So many people come to us and they say, I don't want to be on camera. And I say, do you realize that everyone has 2 cameras that they're looking at you with?
Totally.
They're judging you. They're making an assumption.
Great point.
But you have no idea what they're seeing because you're inside. Why not see what they're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
And then we almost want to be the ostrich or pigeon nature where I don't want to see, I don't want to look. And that's not where we should be. We should be fully open to everyone seeing this. Let me see it too.
It's great advice. Neil, it's been so good. Any parting words that you would like to lead us with?
For anyone watching this, if you're someone that wants to grow in your career, in your relationships, wherever you are, if you don't work on your verbal communication, it will always be something that holds you back. And the biggest advice I can give you, as we've mentioned, watch, observe, record yourself, and start to get comfortable with the silence. The more you can sit in silence, even in the most uncomfortable scenarios or situations, the world will gravitate to want to listen to you more. Rather than, kind of speaking as fast and messy.
Yes.
Nobody wants to have that experience. It's the equivalent of, where would you rather eat? At a beautiful Michelin star restaurant where everything from the decor, the tables, how people bring out the food to you, it's just so delicately done. Or one of those incredibly fast food places, things are slapped on the table, you see the dirt everywhere, it's not cleaned up enough. It's fast, you're getting food, but it's not what people want. And can your language and communication be the best quality it possibly can?
Couldn't have said it better. I thank you so much for making so much effort to get here. I really appreciate everything that you did to meet us here in Austin and record in our beautiful studio.
Wonderful
here.
Studio, yeah.
So thank you so much. We have to do it again.
My
mind is still percolating, and you have to test me to make sure that I'm still following up on your coaching.
100%.
On the next podcast.
Let's do it soon. Thank you.
Thanks again, man.